Sean Hannity is going to age himself years over the next 6 months by talking about it at the top of his lungs. But he's not the only one. Trump's remarks came the same day that Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee Chairman Ron Johnson told reporters he would likely release an interim report on his committee's investigation of Hunter Biden's dealings with Burisma within the next 1 to 2 months. Johnson said the timing of the investigation had nothing to do with the election, but that if he were a Democratic primary voter, he would, quote, want these questions satisfactorily answered before I cast my final vote. It is a weird coincidence though, isn't it, Tommy?
Yeah, it is a weird coincidence. I mean, Ron Johnson is one of the most famously stupid people in the US Senate. So, good for him for being able to string a sentence together. What I'd like to see if Joe Biden is the nominee is one of the House Oversight Committees on the Democratic side start an investigation into Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr. Let's see what Ivanka's been up to. Let's check out how Jared Kushner just managed to flip some company he started with his brother from 5 to 25 million. We need to play this game as hard and as brutally as they do, and it needs to start right now.
You know what I would love as sort of a silver lining of this whole thing is I would like some sort of package of either regulations, legislation that to the same extent that like there have been a few attempts to try to crack down on former lawmakers lobbying and like profiting off of their positions. There should be more oversight of what family members are getting out of the political connections of the people they're related to. And I think that, look, I'm more worried about the Ukraine thing as a potential electoral issue than it seems like you are. But if Joe Biden were to roll out, some sort of definitive ironclad policy that he signs on to that Trump obviously would not, maybe that would be something to reassure voters that Biden takes this seriously in a way that Trump is obviously being sort of like hypocritical about.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And look, you're right. I mean, there started some ethics and lobbying reforms in 2006 and then again in 2009, but there needs to be much more. We need to do much more to get money out of politics. I mean, that in part is why we need to win this election so desperately. We need to pass a voter access bill that makes it easier for people to vote by mail or just get to the polls generally, so that voter suppression isn't killing the Democratic Party cycle after cycle. So I'm totally with you there. It's just, on the hierarchy of things that give me anxiety, Ukraine isn't quite as high as a few other things.
Just because you brought up the possible voter reforms, obviously I, like many people, I'm sure you were frustrated by, again, on Super Tuesday in Texas and California, incredibly long lines, some people having to wait 2, 3, even up to 7 hours to vote. Now, a lot of that is of course determined by the states, and Texas is dominated by Republicans that clearly don't want people to vote. But I am frustrated by the Democratic Party's lack of prioritizing reforms to make our democracy one in actuality as well as in name. I was frustrated that Obama, back when they had the supermajority, that there wasn't a big proactive move to give us like an electoral holiday, give us these sorts of moves that would help to get out in front of some of the voter suppression of the Republican Party. Do you think that the time has come for the Democratic Party to prioritize that a lot more?
Yes, and Pelosi has passed a bill, the House has passed a bill that would do exactly that. I mean, I think about that period in 2009 that you just referenced and the things we could have or should have jammed through, and one of them should have been a big voter access bill. It's really easy for me to say that in hindsight. I mean, the global economy was collapsing and things were falling apart all around us. And frankly, a lot of the problems we're seeing now are the result of the Roberts-led Supreme Court gutting a provision of the Voting Rights Act that would have prevented states like Texas from closing 750 polling locations in majority Black and Latino neighborhoods. I mean, that is very purposeful voter suppression. It happens in Wisconsin. It's been happening in Georgia. Republicans are doing this as their way of clinging to power as white males like myself become a shrinking part of the voting population. But yes, I was as frustrated as you were that California seemed to just kind of screw some things up. And I think we need to figure out what happened there.
Yeah. Well, Tommy, we always appreciate you joining the show. Everyone check out Pod Save America. You probably already have, but continue to. And Tommy, thank you once again.
Thank you for letting a neo-lib on. I appreciate it.
Anytime. For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.